that was probably my biggest challenge, is making the decision to go back to kind of working with a small business on my own with contractors rather than full-time employees. And, but just still having that, don't want to go back and work for somebody else mentality and attitude that, I'm going to make it work.
Hello and welcome to the Orlando podcast. My name is Tyler Gibson. With me here today is Trace Carlson, and I'm going to let him introduce himself as well as some of the things that he does. So Trace, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. So I'm with Roundbox Creative, which I started back in 2007 out of Spokane, Washington. And so it's been a fun adventure as it's taken me kind of all over the place. We've always focused on being mobile. So I've worked anywhere from North Idaho to Washington to Mexico to Hawaii and that's ultimately what's brought me to Florida, is being able to move and travel and work with clients from anywhere. I think it's kind of the gist of it.
Cool. So tell me, Trace, why is it that you do what you do?
Primarily, it's what I know how to do. That's number one. And two, I've just been doing it. I've always enjoyed it. What's captivating to me about online marketing and marketing in general is just getting to know individual clients, what their unique niche is that they provide to their customers, and then finding ways to enhance that and present it in a way online that works for them and works in a way that attracts more customers and clients for them.
So you said 2008 is when you started?
2007. So yep.
2007.
Technically 25 years.
Okay. And
no, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me do my math right. I built my first website in 1997. I'm sorry. That makes 25 years, but 15 years for Roundbox.
Gotcha. And what kind of led you into that space? Did you grow up with computers? Had you always been fascinated? What was kind of the starting point for all of that?
The starting point, I'm going to give you the full story and then see.
No, that's awesome. That's what we like to hear. We like the stories.
Yeah, the starting point. So I moved from Billings, Montana, is where I graduated high school. I decided to move to Phoenix, Arizona, and in really no direction whatsoever other than when I was there, I was bored one day, decided I wanted to take scuba diving classes. I opened up the phone book, Yellow Pages, and there was this little ad on there that had this picture of a person, kind of a cartoon character in a virtual reality hood. So back in 1995, I saw that ad and I got sidetracked from finding scuba lessons and called up this school called CAD University. So for Computer Aided Drafting University. They were just starting a multimedia program with a focus on virtual reality. And I went and took the entrance exams and kind of scored really well. And that's what started my programming background, primarily in C, C++, and Visual Basic, kind of some of the more core languages, and spent the majority of the time getting a degree. So it's a full bachelor's degree in multimedia, computer science, that basically got my foot in the door. Now, internet and web-based projects were not really the focus, but in their development, we decided a couple of our classes that we would post our projects on a website, so little videos and whatnot. So we learned how to do a little bit of HTML, figured out how to upload things to servers, and back working with baud rates instead of megabits or gigabits. Figured out a way to make it available on the internet for our teachers to be able to see the projects. So it was just kind of a little play thing to do. So when I graduated and I went to Spokane, Washington, and if anybody remembers the game Mist or Ribbon. It was they were built by a company called Cyan out of North Spokane, and my intent was to go do 3D modeling for them. While I was waiting for them to start their development on their next project, I took a side job at a little boutique advertising company that was just starting to get the idea that the internet might be someplace to provide marketing tools. So I started building little websites in 1998 for them. And honestly, by the time it took about 4 months of doing that, and by the time the job came available for Cyan, the opportunity that just kind of really presented itself that online marketing was going to be the future, and I stuck with it. I stayed with that firm until 2007, and that company was called Klunt Hosmer. Hard to pronounce, kind of a German-looking name. But I stayed with them from 1998 till 2007 when I started Roundbox, and that has led me to right here.
That's awesome. So I've got a couple of questions. What was it about that phone book ad that you were like, I should go check that out? I mean, you were looking to do something else totally different. So what was it about that ad that kind of piqued your interest? And then what was it about the work itself that really captured your attention?
The ad itself, boy, if I could go back and capture that particular ad, that probably the best little marketing tool that I got sucked into. But just the fact that it was, even back then, the old Yellow Pages was a big list of text and phone numbers, company name and phone number. And so, also back then, people were making big money selling ads in phone books. And so anyway, it was just I would say black and white, but printed in the yellow part. So yellow and black. Just picture, and I'm going to pose for it. It was like this person, with a VR hood with their controller up in the air. And it was just something I'd never seen. I don't think anybody had ever seen anything like that yet. And throw out another old name, so our virtual reality lab had 2 silicon graphics machines in them. Back then, almost $100,000 a piece, which practically had the National Defense Center in our lab, is what it felt like. So we had some cool computing. Anyway, so I was just excited about it. Once we started programming and making things move, and I created my first immersive environment that I could walk around, which was a grocery shelf inside of a grocery store was the project. And when walk through the aisle and reach over and pick off something off the very rudimentary, but being able to pull something off the shelf was the project. Then as far as when I moved up to Spokane and what made me switch from virtual reality to web development, really it just came out of having the ability to work with multiple projects. So I've always liked to move around and change and somewhat, I suppose, an entrepreneurial spirit. So getting stuck on one job, and I'm really glad that I didn't, focusing on, animating one character through the whole project or a set of characters through the whole project versus learning about a timber industry project or a hotel or whatnot. And everything was new. It didn't matter what we did. It was new. It was okay to do. We could try anything we wanted. And back in the infant stage of online design, whether it was little gimmicks of having little sounds when you scrolled or clicked something, or just the change of feedback of a little button going from one color to another. It was all just such, everything was new. It was fun and exciting. And so still try to bring a little of that today, but of course now everything is becoming more and more template driven, template feel. People want to, we've had enough time gone by on what makes a good website, where things need to be and how to attract people, that they all started to look more and more similar compared to back in the day. But
awesome. So when you were working for the company creating websites, I assume that you were employed on some sort of salary or W-2. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what was it that made you want to make the jump to self-employment?
dangling carrots in front of people and not giving them the carrot. Too many years. After 9 years, going on 10th year there, I was started out being the only web person in the company, and the the company had its condo suite where there fit about 11 people, 11 team members, and so to build the web development department, we bought the suite next to it, which essentially could fit another 10 or 11 people. And so I was the first one to move over to that side, but then started hiring people and built that side of the company, built the multimedia side of the company. And I just, it was just a limitation of not being able to do the things that I wanted to do, provide the services that I wanted to provide, manage the staff the way that I wanted to. So it made sense for me to part ways and start building my own thing. So it was really just time for me to move on. And like I said, biggest thing I can say is, dangle a carrot in front of me and never let me catch it. I'm going to lose focus eventually.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Talk to me a little bit about that transition from W-2 to self-employment. Had you taken the time to save up a big nest egg? Did you have 6 months of savings? Were you prepared to make that jump? Had you had enough experience in the business world that you knew what it meant to go start your own business? Or were you, like many entrepreneurs, building the airplane as you were trying to fly it?
Yeah, I jumped out, tried to learn to fly, and built the airplane while I was falling. No plan whatsoever. My one experience of leaving a large company, I can't say this is normal, but got to where trying to figure out what the transition looked like ultimately came to a head where it's just like, okay, time to go. Whatever it was, Tuesday afternoon, no plan whatsoever other than wave goodbye and go. Going out on my own, I fortunately had clients and prospects that I wanted to take along with me or go after, the prospects that didn't fit into the niche of the company that I was with. So I was able to make a couple quick phone calls pretty much and have work the next day. So, I was able to generate the income and go from there. So that, no real plan, no thought process going into it. And then even first name of the company, just as far as putting a name to it, was Circle C Design. And I'm from Montana, so brands were kind of my history, and not brands like Microsoft, but, physical brands
right.
that you put inside of livestock. So Circle C was a kind of a brand that fit the last name of my Carlson, circle encompassing everything. But Circle C Design was the first name of the company. And when I decided to grow beyond, having to define my last name, sitting around coming up with Roundbox, and it just kind of fit. I've had lots of people always, it's somewhat memorable. It hits all the phonetic sounds that you look for in a company name, as far as having, the round box, the hard CK sound at the end. I guess soft, but anyway, so, we went to Roundbox probably a couple years later, and it's stuck ever since. I like when I have at least one or two clients that kind of connect that with, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and doesn't quite fit, but we're going to find a way to make it work. So
that's actually exactly what I thought as I'm thinking about Roundbox. Well, that's kind of an interesting name. The only round box that I'm aware of are hat boxes, but that's a different. I don't know why that popped into my head.
No, that had essentially a hat box or a round box with a lid on it was the O in our. Of course, we don't have anything showing our logo, but that was the O in the box part of our logo for the longest time until it became just an O on its own and kind of became the frame of it. But it's interesting because as I'm always looking at my own branding and marketing too, how many companies out there now that have taken on the Roundbox name, from a company over in Europe to a fitness company in California. So other people have somehow came to the Roundbox name as well. Not sure who started it first, but anyway.
As long as nobody's beating on your door for infringement, who cares, right?
That's right. I think I was first anyway.
So I'm curious, has it always been smooth sailing? Have there been some rough patches since you decided to go out on your own? And if there were, what were some of the things that you did or to get you through those? And I don't mean like what did you physically go do, but more kind of a mindset, and talk a little bit about what it takes to be successful either in the creative industry or just as an entrepreneur from the experience that you've had over the last few years. Hey, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe so you can help us get the word out about these amazing people and businesses here in the Orlando area. Don't miss out on upcoming episodes and help out the show. Now let's get back to it.
Yeah, there's, of course there's been rough spots. There's been, slow times, downturns in economy. I think for me, just having the mindset that it's a no fail mindset. I've always kept the ability, certainly, when projects slow down or the income slows down, first thing to do, I've always done is just, adjust my lifestyle to the income coming in. So if there's a downturn in projects, scale back the things that I get to do. Maybe my work from anywhere mentality gets stuck back into one place for the year or something. I would say I wouldn't call it the height of Roundbox, but at one point I had 6 employees, and that was the office space, employees, taxes, everything that went along with that. That's when it really got stressful. So we had a large project that we were able to staff up that big. And when that project came to an end, that's probably the biggest downtime I've had. And so that the stress that went with that was that was probably my biggest challenge, is making the decision to go back to kind of working with a small business on my own with contractors rather than full-time employees. And but just still having that, don't want to go back and work for somebody else mentality and attitude that, I'm going to make it work. And fortunately, I found kind of a good niche for our company is to partner with other agencies, design firms, marketing agencies, marketing firms. And so that way it expanded our sales team to include theirs as well. And so by providing a agency discount to be able to take on work from them, whether it's overflow or now I've got 2 agencies that we are their development arm of their company. So instead of us having to work alongside their developers, we took over that role. So I suppose just coming back around to the answer, the original question is just persevering, I guess, like cliche, but just sticking with it, knowing that I don't want to go back and work for somebody else again. And just, I never saw anybody else. Like when I think back to my dad being a business owner, I never saw him fail. I saw him work his plan until he sold and retired. And that's, my intent for Roundbox is to, work it until I retire. So it's my baby. It's something that, I have a lot of pride in, and I want to make sure that it has something that I can pass on to somebody else. I have 2 young adult boys that still could make their way back in. They both worked for me throughout the years and decided to go out and do their own adventure. But I still have a hope that, one of them or both of them decide to come back and take on what I've been building here.
Very cool. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit because you do, digital marketing. How about giving some top 5 things entrepreneurs should consider when they're thinking about launching a business and they're thinking about their marketing strategy? Because regardless of what business you're in, you need to be able to market yourself, right? You need to get in front of people. Hopefully you have an avatar, right? That perfect client that you're trying to go after. What are some of the things, some tips that you would provide to newer entrepreneurs as they're starting their journey to get started on the right foot from a marketing perspective, maybe even from a digital footprint?
Yeah, I think, as simple as it sounds, I mean, I'm certainly not going to come up with anything that someone else hasn't already said. There's lots of marketing books out there, but the things that I helping a client out a couple days, Friday last week, it's like, she started from the ground up. So number one, forget what you think and put yourself in their shoes. If you're trying to sell language, a language learning course, online language learning course, actually think about where people are going to find that. And I'm trying to use that example from last week without beating up on that client. Craigslist is not the place to sell language learning courses. So that's why I say forget what you think. Clearly, somebody looking for a language to learn language, they're probably trying they're trying to expand their ability to be employable. So let's focus on where people are looking for employment. So I guess maybe as I try to describe that, instead of thinking about the language course itself, it's think about what people are going to use that for and get in front of them there. So I guess from a marketing standpoint, just making sure that you really look at where your potential clients are going to be looking, so that, is it that yellow page ad in the back of the book with the virtual reality character setting there? And then for me, it kind of comes down to, again, with the young adult kids, trying to teach them how to do things. Don't quit everything to go be an actor. Make sure that you need income to be able to do things you want to do. So if you're starting out on your own, start building your tools in your repertoire before stepping out. Give yourself a good foundation to step out with. You don't need a bunch of money to do it. You need the tools and the drive and somewhat of a direction. Like I said, when I did it, I knew what clients that I could go after that wouldn't be stepping on my current employer's toes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, I want to go do this kind of work, which is outside of what we do. So I'm going to go call them up and say, here, let's get going.
That kind of brings me to an interesting point. Had you started kind of as a side hustle before leaving the W-2 job, or did you just start to nurture those relationships so that they were there as soon as you had left?
I think I did not start as a side hustle. I think looking back, and it has been quite a while now, so looking back on it, I would say that the key thing was there was just a certain client base that didn't fit the business model that we had.
Right.
So that kind of just helped bring it to the point where it was like, all right, I know now is the time. There's this set of clients over here that aren't getting serviced, that are they called looking for a solution. We're not providing them a solution. So that gave me the ability to jump in and provide the solution. And that was just different pricing. Again, back in 1990, or no, I'm sorry. I remember my dates, 2000s. So back in 2007, even the way billing was done was a hindrance for a certain client, type of client. And so jumping in, setting alongside them, what I did a lot of, again, being mobile, I showed up at the client's office. I sat in their break rooms with my laptop. I brought my office to them and worked alongside them and became part of their team. But I could do that with 6 or 7, clients at a time, and basically work each day or part of a day from their office, and not only just provide a solution for what they're asking for, but really be immersed in what they're doing and saying, oh, I see you doing this over here. Let's take that on as well. So I don't know if I've really answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did. You did not start as a side hustle. I think was the course of it. And what I think is really interesting about that story is that you saw a whole client base, whether it's because of their size or their revenue pattern or whatever it was, that didn't fit the business model of the company you currently work for. And you saw how you could fill that need and just volunteered to take on what somebody else didn't want, which I'm a big proponent of. I tell people follow your passions. I really think people should follow their passions because in today's digital age, there is certainly a community of people out there that are just as passionate about the thing you're passionate about. And so if you can look for a need within that community, whether it be a product or a service, then you can certainly create a business and monetize that opportunity just by paying attention to what people need or are asking for within the passion that you have, right? Whether that's photography, bird watching, or whatever. There's an opportunity to build a business around your passions.
Mm-hmm.
If you just pay attention to what people are asking for within those realms where they're not getting it anywhere else, or they're getting it somewhere else at a lower quality, or
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really interesting. So talk to me a little bit about your business today. Where's it at? What kind of clientele do you typically work with? And I guess more importantly, as a business owner that's looking to work with a marketing agency, what questions should I be asking? And what are some of the things that I can do to make sure that that relationship works well and that I get the most out of the service that I'm asking for, as well as providing the most cooperation to the other side, because I know that can be a friction sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, so where we're at, I moved the business kind of permanently to Orlando in 2018, or not to Orlando, but to Florida. And so with that being said, over the last 4 years, my client base really hasn't moved over here. I still work primarily with most of my clients down the West Coast, from Anchorage, Alaska, down to Hawaii, and everywhere in between down the West Coast. But still, always trying to bring more and more clientele and work with more companies local in the Orlando area. So we still take on new clients anywhere. I've got a custom spa cover company, to an English as a second language company that I just referenced a little bit ago, to attorneys, landscaping, and even actually one of my fun clients is a jumpy bounce house castle rental place in Thomasville, Georgia. Fun marketing because you get to be bright colored and vibrant and a little bit bouncy. So so we're doing great as a company. We are just constantly bringing in new projects and finding them all over. Everything we do is word of mouth, whether it's as far as our own marketing. We're fortunate, so when we do a website, we get eyeballs on it, and someone wants to know how and who built that website. Totally got paused there. So our main goal is, I like working one-on-one with companies, and I typically like working with either the marketing director or the owner of the business. That's going to be where I have the best relationship with, and how the relationship feels is very important to me. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel good, I'm sure the client's feeling the same thing. So I'm very upfront about that at the beginning of a working relationship, that if it doesn't feel good, let's not torture each other and run each other through the ringer. Let's just test it out and do everything we can to work on the relationship to make it so where there's trust in there that I'm going to be providing the best thing that we can, and just knowing let the clients know that I'm actually being attentive to their needs.
Got it. So We're coming up on about 30 minutes already. So I just want to go ahead and give you an opportunity. If people are interested in your services and what you provide, what's the best place for them to find out some more information?
Yeah, you can always visit us at roundboxcreative.com or search Roundbox Orlando, and you'll probably find us as long as it's not the fitness company in California, like I mentioned. But yeah, roundboxcreative.com. View our work. There's web estimate tools on there. You can get a free estimate for work you're doing, or go to the appointments and schedule an online appointment with us, and we jump on. We try to be as available as possible. Again, with the expanding from the West Coast time zone or even Hawaii time zone, which is 6 hours right now with the time change and whatnot, 6 hours ahead. So we're available a lot of the day. So whether that's early in the morning till late at night, there's always a phone to be picked up somewhere. So website shows the best work. We love having new appointments show up through our online scheduling, to say, oh, cool, we get to talk to all of a sudden, we might be talking about language or produce or timber industry or so online is definitely the best way to find us.
Cool. Are there any business sectors you don't work with?
Not out of really choice, but car sales, automotive sales. It's its own beast, and I know people that focus specifically on that industry, but it is if it's design and branding, whatnot, we can provide a lot of services, but it's one that needs just constant care and your best. We're always going to push them towards in-house teams that can be at the beck and call of new inventory moving that fast, and that sort of thing. So really, automotive is about the only one that I've done a few projects and just realized that it's like, oh, it's going to take over my company and I'm just going to be known for doing XYZ auto for the rest of my life. And so that's the one that just I've found that we always kind of get pushed away from.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Our favorite, actually, I'm gonna throw, our favorite right now is doing tourism site, like city websites, City of Orlando. One site that we've done for a long time is the Coeur d'Alene.gov, which is the city of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And it's fun because you've got it's got kind of that chamber of commerce type feel. So you've got every aspect of business all included in one. So you've got, again, might be automotive company, but we're doing just the front end branding for them. I lost you, Tyler. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So Chamber of Commerce or city visitor websites, just because you've got anywhere from hotels to automotive to dental to little specialty cupcake houses or whatever. So we've kind of got a nice set of software and tools that we've put together to make a great member site that allows from billing to mapping to letting the businesses go in and manage their own listings. So we found that we're very competitive in that industry, and like I said, it's a lot of fun. We get to work with their marketing team in each one of the sections of the website, which is its own little industry. So
that's really awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Any parting words of wisdom for any of our listeners that may be listening?
Go Gators.
Go Gators. Oh, no. All right. Well, on that note,
shameless plug.
Thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with me today and sharing your story with us. If you guys have questions or would like to connect with Trace, we'll have some contact information in the show notes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you around Central Florida.
All right. Thanks, Tyler.